Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I'm a chemical super freak. I still need a gun. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. That's my Sean Connery.
It's really good. It's better than me screwing up the beginning trying to do an impression.
It's my Sean Connery playing Jeopardy. I'll take swords for 200, Alex. That's S-words.
I'll take the rapists for 300. That's therapists. Oh my God. Now I want to see a version of The Rock where it's just that impression of Sean Connery. That would be amazing.
Oh, God.
That'd be so funny. We are dorking out about 1996's The Rock. In case y'all missed it, this past Saturday was F This Movie Fest, where we were all watching 5 or 6 movies. I think it was 6 movies, all from 1996, and we were all tweeting throughout them. And while we were watching The Rock, Margo and I were like, we need to talk about The Rock. So we were going to do Beverly Hills Cop. We are going to put that aside. We'll come back to it. And now we're going to do The Rock, which is written by so many people. So main credits were David Weisberg, Douglas Cook, and Mark Rosner. And then apparently there were some uncredited rewrites by Aaron Sorkin. This makes sense to me. And
Yes.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Which
But somehow it didn't have the N-word in there.
yeah, good. It's the most edited Quentin Tarantino ever. And then apparently Sean Connery brought in a British screenwriting team named Dick Clement and Ian Furnaz, and to rewrite his lines. They ended up changing a bunch of stuff, and there was a ton of improv apparently on this movie, especially by Nicolas Cage, who decided his character wouldn't swear and would say things like gee whiz and Zeus's butthole and whatnot.
That's Zeus's butthole. That's what I forgot to say. I was going to quote that, and I couldn't remember, so I went to Sean Connery.
What in
Via Daryl Hammond.
Zeus's butthole. So a lot of different writers on this one, and it's directed by Creep Michael Bay. Trust me, y'all, he's on the What a Creep list. We're going to get there, and it stars Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris, one of my old man crushes, John Spencer, R.I.P.
Really?
Yeah. I
have
loved
it for
him.
Ed Harris.
I love me some Ed Harris too. I don't know. John Spencer played Leo on The West Wing, and I kind of had a crush on Leo. So,
Okay. Hey.
you know, I like some older dudes. I also had a crush on Bradley Whitford on The West Wing.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, he's so good in that. Anyway,
Yeah.
David Morse is in there. David Morse, always fucking rad wherever he goes. William Forsythe, Michael Biehn, because if you have a movie about like a soldier, you have to have Michael Biehn in there. It's the law. Vanessa Marcel plays Nicolas Cage's
A chick.
She plays a chick. Her
A
name,
pregnant chick.
yeah. We're gonna talk about the women in this movie, but
Yeah.
I will say this: she is adorable. Everybody drink. She's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
She was on General Hospital. That's where I know her from.
She was married to Corey Feldman, too.
What? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Look that shit up. She was.
You know everything. John C. McGinley's in here from Scrubs. Always so good. Tony Todd, the Candyman. Basically.
Yes.
He's in here. Bokeem Woodbine. He's one of those people that always is showing up and shit. Danny Nucci.
I said in one of my tweets, if you check F This Movie Fest and see my Brooklyn Fit chick I was tweeting, I'm like, how the hell is Miguel Ferrer not in this goddamn movie?
Seriously.
This would totally be a movie that would include him.
Yes. And by the way, I'm listing this cast because I want to make it clear that even like little parts have somebody that you're going to recognize. And I feel like we don't get a lot of, I feel like such an old lady where I'm like, they don't make them like this anymore. But they really, they got people for like the littlest parts. Claire Forlani shows up in here as Sean Connery's daughter. Like, and she's also adorable. She's beautiful. Everybody
She's
drink.
beautiful.
Yeah, there's 2 girls in here and they're both beautiful. We got Philip Baker Hall shows up in here.
Yes.
Love seeing Philip Baker Hall. By the way, one of my favorite things on Seinfeld was Philip Baker Hall playing the library cop. Did you ever watch Seinfeld, by the way?
Of course I watched Seinfeld. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, where he's trying to track down like a library book for like 30 years old or whatever. It's such a weird thing. And then in a small part is a comedian named Andy Clark as the hairdresser.
Anthony Clark.
Anthony Clark. Thank you.
He had a comedy, and I don't know what his deal is, but he's playing very gay here.
Yes.
Like, it's a very over-the-top hairdresser moment because it's San Francisco.
Yes.
Sonia, like, of course.
And I would say, like, I would call him out on it, but I also know hairdressers exactly like this, so...
Yes.
But I do love his delivery of the line, I just want to know if you like your hair.
The Fairmont Hotel.
At the Fairmont Hotel, where also, by the way, the Tonga Room is an amazing place. I love the Tonga Room. Let's start how we always start. Did you see this in the theater?
Oh, absolutely, I did.
Yes, me too.
Absolutely.
I loved this. I saw it in the theater too. Actually, it played at my theater. It made so much fucking money, by the way. We looked this up right before filming. So it was filmed. This is crazy to me. The budget is $75 million. I can't believe the budget's that low. That seems like an adorable indie movie now.
Yeah. Considering all the special effects and all the actors and locations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it ended up making over $330 million. It made more than enough to get his money back. And if you haven't seen The Rock, you should stop this right now. Go see The Rock. And you can come back. Also, follow the hashtag F this movie fest if you want to read a bunch of tweets about The Rock. And I will say I didn't take notes like I normally do. I was tweeting throughout the movie. But I did write down some thoughts and screenshotted all my tweets. But this movie is so Nicolas Cage is like a little mild-mannered chemist, FBI agent. He doesn't swear, but he's got a real smoking hot girlfriend, and he teams up with Sean Connery, who is one of he is the only person who has escaped Alcatraz. So they Yes, well, we have Ed Harris, and he plays a disgruntled former Marine. Yeah. And he has a group of, there's like 83 men that were killed in a mission, and it was the Pentagon's fault. And so he's going to rise up in their name and like raise money for them by kidnapping a bunch of innocent people. This is not a terrorist organization. Like, dude, please. But they bring in the biggest criminal they could think of, and it's Sean Connery. And I swear to God, I thought it was Rob Zombie. Like, I had to look. Sean Connery, they zombied him up, and you couldn't tell them apart. It's so great. I super love this movie, by the way. I'm going to make fun of it, but it's goddamn enjoyable. We're going to make so much fun of it, but the reason we wanted to talk about it was we loved watching it so much. It was so fun.
It's very 90s. It's like the clothes, the music, the special effects, the dumb jokes that people tell just before they should be killed, but they're not. It's the relationships are over the top and ridiculous. The acting is everywhere. Yes. It's like you said, every scene there's somebody like, holy shit, it's that guy. Yeah. I mean, it's very 90s. It's super fun.
Yeah. At any point in this movie, you're like, you just like look to the right or the left of one of the big stars and you're like, holy shit. You know, when did Michael Biehn enter the chat? Like, there's like a huge cast of people. And I wrote down a bunch of stuff about why I like this movie so much. And I have kind of three main points. And we'll start with Ed Harris because you were talking about his motive. He's a really good villain, but he's not a purely evil man. And he
thinks he's doing the right thing.
He does. obviously the movie disagrees. Well, I would say the movie puts him in a gray zone. But I don't understand I want to get money for the families of the people who died in this secret mission, and then he goes around killing a shit ton more soldiers to do it. And I'm like, now do those families get money too? So then I'm like,
doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So then I'm like, so every time you kill a soldier, does your take get less? It seems
it was 100 million. It's now 88 million.
I'm like, it's like the opposite of a pyramid scheme. Like, what is happening here? But you can't think too hard when you watch this movie.
He actually says this is not a terrorist situation. And it's like, well, yeah, you're holding innocent hostages. There's people that, by the way, people do go to Alcatraz for a jaunt. It's a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
I've been there several times.
I live in San Francisco and still have not been to Alcatraz.
It's actually super interesting. It's one of my favorite places to take people because I'm kind of creepy. So that's
I really want to go, and you know what? I'm going to make it my mission to go this year. And I've heard that I would love to do just the regular tour, and I would love for it to be led by Phil Hartman, but that's just not going to happen. If you haven't seen So I Married an Axe Murderer, please do that. And Phil Hartman is the hilarious Alcatraz guide. But I heard the nighttime tour is awesome. They do a nighttime one in October.
I've never done that, but they have a couple of different tours you could take. And one of them is where you wear the headphones.
Yeah.
And whenever you get a chance to do that when you're going to a museum, because whoever does headphones shit, they're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
They just really, it makes it more immersive, but it is a very creepy place.
Yes.
And it has a big history to it. So it's fun. But like, they also have these chemical weapons that they're going to release on people. This nerve gas, right? Like that's the kind of bombs he was going to bomb in Oakland, a Raiders game.
Yeah. Or I think it's Candlestick Park, because Candlestick still existed at the time. I think it's a Niner game because there's a lot of red going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's, And I guess there's this whole thing, like everyone in San Francisco doesn't know what's happening. And, I tweeted it out. I was like, San Francisco still wouldn't care. Like, they would be like, I don't want to lose my place in line for brunch. Like, they would just fucking weird shit happens all the time in San Francisco. We're like, bah, what are you going to do?
It's
there's
still going to be expensive rent.
Yeah.
Like, they take out 2 holes.
Exactly.
Just like, well, but right by Market Street.
They fucking blow up a huge chunk of the city, and everyone's like, great, now housing's going to be even more expensive. Or, somebody be like, they blew up the Tenderloin, but you can't tell the difference. Like, people are the worst. We're the worst. But it's, and I will say, we talked about the Presidio here on Dorking Out too, and I love San Francisco car chases.
Yes.
I realize if you live in San Francisco, you're like, this is fucking car chase. It doesn't make any sense. Like, there's never real traffic, which takes you out of the movie instantly. And also it's all over the city. Like, they start in Russian Hill, they end up in the Bayview. These are all San Francisco things. Like, that doesn't make sense. I don't care.
No.
Like,
I live in New York. People do that all the time.
Yeah.
They like walk 3 blocks and they're in Brooklyn. Like, it's like they go from like Rockefeller Center to Brooklyn in 2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. It's a great way to see the city, y'all. And I think it's super fun. And I think that first of all, they're very exciting. San Francisco has a lot of hills, so there are a lot of like fast driving up hills, flying over the hills. There's a whole thing with a cable car in this movie where they fucking shoot that shit up in the air and it explodes, and it's fucking bananas. And you get the drivers like, I'm gonna kill someone, like
dead, who should be dead.
And instead, he's like, I'm gonna find out who did this. I'm gonna fucking kill him. And I was like, there's your sequel. I would like to see that sequel. I would watch
and then
it.
Some stoner goes up to Nick Cage on his bike. Is like, dude,
you totally blew up your car, man.
And he's like, I'm gonna take yours now.
Yep.
But it's like you said, they don't make them like this anymore. They're
No.
just, but everybody's also younger, Nick
Yes.
Cage, and everybody's younger. They got a little more fire in them, and they're taking it very seriously. Like they're chewing up
Yeah.
the scenery, and I
Yeah.
like that.
There is Nicolas Cage, I think the year before or maybe the year before that, had won the Oscar for Best Actor for Leaving Las Vegas. And Nicolas Cage is a very quirky, unusual,
To
say the least, actor, and definitely was not an action star.
No, he did it on a dare.
Yeah.
They kept saying he would never be able to do it because he's too quirky. And then a year later, John Cusack's like, "Fuck you, man! I'm getting on Con Air. I'm gonna try to be quirky too."
And then Nick Cage steals the movie from him with his amazing hair. We did an episode on Con Air, by the way, if you want to hear that.
This is Nick Cage, I think, probably at his hottest. I find him very attractive.
I think he's very attractive in this. I think he's very hot in Valley Girl, which I believe we also did an episode on. But he's a baby in that one. Like I borderline would go to jail for hitting up Nick Cage in Valley Girl. But he is very handsome. And Sean Connery looks great too. Like
looks great.
He looks great. This is
even as Rob Zombie.
Yeah, and they have really great chemistry. They bounce off each other really well, and it's one of the things that works about the movie. And I think you mentioned that everyone is taking it seriously and chewing up the scenery, and I think there's this the stakes are high. They do a really good job of establishing the stakes. They do a really good job of explaining what this chemical weapon would do to people if they come across it. Like we see it happen before, so we kind of know what's going to happen. And then the deaths mean something in the movie. Like it's because of death that Ed Harris is even doing what he's doing. And then there's this really intense like showdown on Alcatraz between like Ed Harris's forces and Michael Bihn's forces. And that shit, it's really tense. And the deaths are going to mean something. I think it's really well done, actually. It's like meaningful, like just meaningful enough to like make it tense, but not like so sad that it like ruins the fun. It's a very delicate balance. And I think The Rock does it.
It's funny when it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's intense when it needs to be. It really uses the city very well.
Yeah.
I think it catches San Francisco really well. I would say they don't do a great job with the prisoners that are stuck. They don't even need them. Like, why even? I mean, because here's the thing. I know this from my past of bank robberies and stuff. When you take hostages, these people have to go to the bathroom. They have to be fed.
Yeah.
Somebody could have a heart attack. Somebody could be diabetic and go into shock. Like and there's like 12 people in a cage. Like at some point you see it. Like that whole thing is a big pain in the ass, and they didn't really need to do that.
Mm-mm.
And that is part of like, because that's how my brain works. Like, well, what about those people? That must suck. But that's not realistic.
No, and they only refer back to the hostages when necessary. Like, there's no. Yes, they have there's all these tour groups on Alcatraz because it is a tourist attraction, and I do love the little aside from Sean Connery where he mentions like it's a tourist attraction now. Like this place that was like a living hell for him is now like, wee, you could go to Alcatraz, you could get in a cell, wee, like that must be fucking weird, but they they like lock them all in these cells, and there is this like every once in a while it's like, what about the hostages? What about the hostages? And I'm like, but they're also holding all of San Francisco hostage with these weapons. Sure. And so and then there's just a thing where every once in a while they'll take someone out of a cage and like put a gun to their head and be like, Larry, tell everybody about your life. And I'm like, poor Larry. He just wanted to see Alcatraz. He didn't sign up for this. That
I'm too old
sucks.
for this shit. Yeah, they had that one mouthy woman at first. It's like, I have a gun at home. I should have brought it with me. Yes, ma'am, you should have. No, that's another thing. Like, there's the women in this movie do not move the plot forward at all.
Mm-mm.
They're not useful at all. They're just for the men.
Yeah, they're, as you said, the women. There's no Bechdel test in here. You can't even take the test in this movie.
No.
There are two women. They don't interact with each other. One is Sean Connery's daughter. One is Nicolas Cage's fiance, pregnant fiance. And they are both in San Francisco so that Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage really have to work to save the city. And I'm like, apparently saving like 1 million lives isn't stakes enough. We need to add in the personal. They also have people they care about in the city. It's fine. It doesn't take me out of the movie, but I'm like, ugh.
I know. I think it could have been even more fun if you had some different kinds of women in there too. But yeah, look, this is 96. It's also, this is Michael Bay. What does he care?
Yeah, there's not even women in the war room. Like, there's no women serving in the military, apparently. There's no women anywhere. And like you said, why would Michael Bay have more women in this movie unless he could get them naked somehow?
Yeah, no, like I do think it's cute. There's the one sex scene between Nicolas Cage and Vanessa Marcil, and she's all dressed up for him.
Yes.
I thought
she's cute.
Yeah, with her pigtails and shit. Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah. And there's, but like you said, I think this is easily Michael Bay's best movie.
Yes, like I said, I'm going to make fun of it. Yeah. I still super fucking enjoyed it. I laughed out loud. I was like, whoa, with the crashes.
Yeah.
I got into it.
Yeah. It's, his other movies are not for me. And I admit, like, he admits it. Like, I make movies for teenage boys. The Transformer movies are not for me. They're for teenage boys. Like, his later movies are like, if Axe Body Spray directed movies, like that, and that's not my jam, and that's fine. Like, it's fine that he wants to make movies for teenage boys. Do I like the way he goes about it? No, like, he's super shitty to the women on his movie sets, and but this is like early Michael Bay. It's before he became like a real super creep.
Yeah,
and I think it's his best movie for sure. Like
It looks great.
It looks great. It's never boring. It's not slow. We also watched, as part of this film festival, Independence Day, which is a super fun movie, but there's a chunk in the middle that just drags. This movie does not. It moves the whole time.
It moves. Yeah.
And there's... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, one of the things I love about it is there are 3... little movies going on in this big movie. So we have Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, and they're going around Alcatraz and they're disabling all these rockets. Then you cut to, like, I guess I call it the war room. I don't know if that's really what it is. There's no fighting in the war room. And then you have John Spencer and William Forsythe are kind of the leads in there. And then you have Ed Harris and David Morse. There's like 3 little movies going on. And all of those actors are awesome. They're all awesome. And I like their interactions, and all of those stories have stakes, and because then that's the thing. There's no slow parts. Like, there's always something happening in the movie, and then the score kicks in and it looks great. And it's like, fuck yeah. You want to like put your fist up in the air. Yeah. Like, and then there's comedy, and then there's like little jokes that just, every once in a while, the whole like, I'm a biochemist, and I drive a Volvo, a beige one, and like all that. Just it works.
I like the scene with Ed Harris and his group of terrorists, are facing off the group of fighters that are trying to capture them. And then all of a sudden it just goes to hell, and everybody's shooting the shit out of everybody else.
Yes.
And Ed Harris is screaming, "Cease fire! Cease!" I'm like, it's not working, dude. No. But that's poor Michael Biehn, spoiler. That's where he goes. Yeah, but there's a scene where Nicolas Cage, I loved it. I don't know if you know about a movie named Bad Ronald.
I only know it because you have mentioned it. I have never seen it.
So Bad Ronald, he was really bad, is a kid who accidentally kills a girl, and his mother doesn't want him to go to jail, so she puts him in a part of the house and then seals him into it.
Mm-hmm.
The mother dies, and a family moves in, Dabney Coleman and his daughters. And Bad Ronald has the hots for the daughters.
Oh, dear.
And she's the blonde from Beverly Hills Cop, by the way. So we will get to Beverly Hills Cop one day.
We will.
Lisa Eilbecker. But anyway, at one point, Bad Ronald is so horny and so sick of being stuck in the house, like that he bursts through a wall. And it's like a very famous scene. Bad Ronald just bursting through a wall going, ah! And Nicolas Cage at one point, he's like leaning against the wall and they bursted and grabbed him out. I'm like, they Bad Ronald him. My long story. It all makes sense.
Bad Ronald him. I love it when titles are used as verbs. It's like Bad Ronald him.
That's one of my favorite movies. And Patrick Bromley of F This Movie, we both have the same birthday.
Yeah.
March 29th. And I usually send him something with Michael J. Fox. And one year he sent me a Bad Ronald
Oh, my
gift.
God. That's so funny.
And I was super psyched.
That's hilarious. I need to watch Bad Ronald.
It's on YouTube. It's great.
Okay. Should we do a dorking out about Bad Ronald? That says
put that to the side.
That tells me no.
Yeah.
There's this line in the movie that is like so action movie, right? Like losers always complain about doing their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. And then, he says, Carla was the prom queen. And I was like, you guys, you're too old to be fucking prom queens.
Yeah, no.
By the way, I think someone else tweeted that too, so I don't want to sound like I made that joke up. Like, they are too old to be fucking the prom queen, like both of them. And it's like such a dude bro line.
Yeah, look, it's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It's dude-ish. It is what it is. It's just like when the Man Show was on the air. It is what it is.
The only thing that I did not watch the Man Show all the time, but I will say there was one thing that made me laugh, and that's when they went out and tried to get people to sign a petition to end women's suffrage because people didn't know what suffrage meant, and they were like, "Women are suffering."
I remember that from the Penn and Teller's Bullshit. Did you ever see that? It was a Showtime show, and they went through, probably San Francisco, but they went through to get somebody to sign a petition to get H2O out of water.
That sounds terrible. Where do I sign?
Like, that's awful. What?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
There's so much about, okay, so there's the dude bro factor, and I'd love to say like, well, they wouldn't even do that now, but they would totally do that now. Like the dude bro stuff would totally happen now. As someone who lives in San Francisco, I love the car chase stuff. I actually wonder if they could even film car chases like this in San Francisco anymore.
I think about that too. Same in New York. Yeah.
Because it's San Francisco. We make everything hard. We make everything really hard. You can't even sign your kids up for school. We make it even hard just to get your kid into school. Like, and I love, love, love San Francisco. I love it here. I say this with such love, but we are also high maintenance pain in the asses. I get it. And I know that I read that they had to shut down like huge sections of Russian Hill in San Francisco. And Russian Hill's a really nice part of San Francisco. And they had to like provide like residents with like valet parking and like shuttle services so they could like get to and from their homes and all this stuff. Like we wouldn't even do that. Now it would be like, no, it's too inconvenient. Like, forget it.
That's why they go to Atlanta. That's why they go to Georgia now. Like if you look at everything's filmed there now because they have all the, or Louisiana because they have all those deals.
Yeah. I think they filmed some of Ant-Man and the Wasp here.
Yes.
And, they might block off like a block or two, but it's usually not around people's homes. I think it tends to be around businesses and stuff now because it's almost like it's easier to deal with a business than a bunch of homeowners. So, yeah, makes sense. But I still love them. I still love those San Francisco car chases.
I say we should do Bullet next, because that's like the most amazing car chase ever. It's 1968 San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
It's Steve McQueen. It's very exciting, and I like it when we do older movies.
Me too. I'll write it down. Bullet. I'm like always down for that one. I haven't seen it in a couple of years. It does have. It has one of the most famous car chases of all time, not just San Francisco, like famous car chases. Another one too, where you're like, well, that shit doesn't make sense. How do you get from here to there? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Other random thoughts about this movie was I kept thinking about those poor hostages.
Yes.
And I was tweeting about all their Yelp reviews that they're going to leave of Alcatraz, all their 1-star Yelp reviews. Poor Alcatraz. It doesn't deserve this bad press.
It would be different now because everyone would be, TikToking themselves.
True. That's true. This is all before social media was a thing, by the way. So
yeah. So this is like a very special time. Nobody has a phone. Yeah.
Good.
But you are depending on like no one getting sick, no one having a freak out, no one. Where do they go to the bathroom? There aren't a lot of bathrooms
I don't know. Are there little toilets in the cells?
I guess that's where. Yeah. Then they all turn into monsters and they like they overtake. Oh, that's the movie I want to see. Everyone goes feral. All the hostages. They create shanks and they're killing people.
Yeah, the whole social experiment is happening.
Yeah.
There's a whole other movie. That's the 4th movie that's going on in this movie. There's 4 movies. There's Nicolas Cage, Sean Connery, John Spencer, William Forsythe, Ed Harris, David Morris, and then there's fucking Lord of the Flies happening down in the cells.
Down in the cells. Supposedly, Sean Connery had them build a cabin for him on the island.
Oh, that's so Connery.
So, yeah, I would too, man. Are you getting that view every day?
Oh my God, beautiful.
Yeah, because he didn't want to travel too much. He didn't want to go over the bridge every day.
I get it.
He's Sean Connery. I get it. But I can imagine, okay, so the people inside, the prisoners, they overtake it and then they take that house. And then that place is holding hostage. I love this movie.
We need to write it. I think we need to write it.
Say all that shit to ourselves, yes.
There's also this, there's this all the one-liners, also so 90s, with the, like, Nicolas Cage is defusing all these rockets, and there's this whole thing about, do you like Elton John? To that one guy. And then I
like easy listening shit.
He's like, well, you're the rocket man. And then he sets off the rocket. It's so silly. Oh my God, it was so silly. And then everyone, of course, we're all tweeting different stuff. And I said, do you like Elton John? Because I want to know if you could feel the love tonight. And he sets off the do you like Elton John? Because the bitch is back. You could just go on and on. It's nonstop. It was so funny.
I'm going to be like Elton John because somebody's going to save your life tonight. Done.
Do you like Elton John? Because Saturday nights are made for fighting. You can just keep going. It's so good.
We should put Rocket Man on the list.
I still haven't seen it, and I want to see it. So I'm writing it down.
Write it down.
Man. All right, you're on the dry erase board, Rocket Man. Oh, there's also this thing. This happened where they have to stick a needle in their chest to the adrenaline shot. Those kind of scenes always make my anxiety level go up. I'm like,
you and I have both been through surgeries. This is not fun.
Yeah,
needles are not fun.
No, as someone who had to give herself some of the easiest shots in the world when I was doing chemo, and people who listen to the show know I had to do chemotherapy at one point. You have to grab a little chunk of fat on your belly and do a little shot just to keep your white blood cell. Even that was so stressful to me, and it was a little boom, boom, in, out. So easy. And I was still like, like, because it's nerve-wracking to poke yourself with something. So these scenes, like, every time I see them, I'm like, like, even in Pulp Fiction, all of them, it's really crazy. Like, they always make me tense. And a lot of people were tweeting about the placement of, because you're supposed to be injecting it into your heart. And it looks like he's poking himself in the stomach. That's all.
Oh.
Yeah. To which I responded, everyone knows the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Because Sonia's the funniest.
I'm hilarious. I'm just here to read my own tweets, everybody. Welcome to Sonia's tweet podcast.
When I put up my Rob Zombie tweet, I'm like, oh, he looks like Rob Zombie. And then he disappears from the screen for a few minutes. So I had it all set up on my phone. I'm like, please don't shave his head yet. Please don't give him the makeover. Make sure he still looks like, and he did. And boom.
Boom. And he does look like
Rob Zombie.
He does.
Yep.
Yeah. He's got a whole grunge thing going on. It's The Rock is really fun.
It's super fun. It's put your brain on ice and just if you're just looking for something like just some shit to make you laugh. I was laughing out loud, but I also was going, wow. Like, I guess I got to like your son, Calvin. I was like, oh my God, they blew it up. That's
yes.
so great.
Yeah. So because we were watching all these movies, my son my 10-year-old was really, he just ignored most of these movies. Like, he was just doing his own thing. But he joined me for Independence Day, and he was all in for Independence Day, which I'm sure is on our list, and we will talk about. Maybe we should do it around Independence Day. Seems appropriate.
Let's do that this summer. Yeah.
Yeah. But Calvin had lots of thoughts and feelings about Independence Day, which I shared on my Instagram. I took some video footage if y'all want to see it. But yeah, when Randy Quaid takes out the spoilers, everybody, when Randy Quaid takes out for Independence Day, a movie that came out a very long time ago, Calvin yelled, "He did it!" He was in it, man. He was in it. I love it. Let's see. What else? I have a few. I listed out some other Michael Bay movies. Would you like to hear some of them?
Of course. I've probably never seen them.
I'm curious to know if because I think you've probably seen some of these. Have you ever seen Bad Boys?
Yes.
I remember liking Bad Boys.
Yeah, I liked it too. Like the first one anyway.
Yeah.
Was that Tia Leone?
Yes. That's right. Yeah. So he did Bad Boys was his first one. That was 95. Then he did The Rock in 96. Then in 98 he did Armageddon. It's on our list.
It's on our list.
Which
I watched that recently. Woo.
Yeah, it is not good.
No.
2001 he did Pearl Harbor.
Not a good movie.
Also not good. Here's my thing about Pearl Harbor. Like, do you think he thought this was his Titanic?
Yes, he absolutely thought this was his Titanic. That he was going to get nominated for a bunch of shit. And he was going to, go up there and wave his arms when he won the best director.
Yeah.
And just, we won the war.
We won the war.
We did it, finally. It's been 70 years, but we made it.
Yeah, no.
Or 60 years. Whatever. I can't do math.
Math is not, we don't do math here. This is not the math show.
No.
Then he did, 2003, he did Bad Boys 2.
At which it wasn't as good.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw it and thought the action was super fun, and then this one I have not seen, and people tell me is actually kind of good. 2005's The Island.
I don't even know what that is.
That's the one with Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson, and there's like clones, like a whole island of clones, and they kind of become sentient and. I don't know.
They're not winning me over.
Okay.
No.
And then the last after that, it's just a shit ton of Transformer movies. And
he didn't do Con Air?
He didn't. That was Simon West.
Ah, I'm shocked.
Yeah. Well, that's a Jerry Bruckheimer. So that's a whole other
thing.
Yeah. This was, and then he did all these Transformer movies, and I have never seen a Transformer movie.
No. Nor have I.
And I'm, by the way, if you like the Transformer movies, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
enjoy your Transformer movies. There's nothing about them that speak to me, so I haven't seen them, but I'm still going to make fun of them because that's fun. And then I just wanted to point out, like, so The Rock was the 4th highest grossing movie in 96. And
That doesn't shock me.
Yeah, and I wanted to list out some of the other movies for us. So Space Jam was a top 10 movie.
That was so popular.
It was really, and by the way, younger people, like I would say, like what, we're Gen X, so Gen Z, I guess, probably millennials as well, love Space Jam. They love it. They grew up watching it. They watched it a million times. They love Space Jam. It's fine. I watched it with Calvin. It's fine. He never asked to see it again. Jerry Maguire.
Not my favorite.
Yeah, it's on our list. It's on our list.
It's Cameron Crowe. Ugh. We talked about Cameron Crowe. We'll talk about him again.
Yeah, we will talk about this movie someday because I have
thoughts.
I have mixed feelings about Jerry Maguire. There's parts I like and parts I don't.
Same.
Number 8 was The Nutty Professor.
I actually like The Nutty Professor. Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
I think he's hilarious in there.
Yeah.
Oh, Hercules.
The movie has a little bit more heart in it than you expected when you first saw it.
Yeah.
Number 7 was Ransom. Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. Yeah. We don't do Mel Gibson here, or we try not to because he's a creep.
Yes.
But that's a deliriously fun movie.
All I remember about the previews was like, "Give me back my son!" Like, that trailer was in front.
Camera, and he's like on a news show. He goes, "This is $1 million. He has all this money." He goes, "I will give this to anyone who kills these assholes that take my son." Like, the
trailer for Ransom was in front of every movie at my theater. Like, even fucking kids movies had a trailer for Ransom, and "Give me back my son!
Give me back my son!"
Then there was 101 Dalmatians. I assume that's
never saw
the live action one. I never saw it. Also, I have not watched Cruella yet, which Adam Brisky super loves, and I am 100% going to watch, but have not watched yet. The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Never seen it.
I remember seeing it. I was like, it's fine. I never saw it again. Number 4 was The Rock. Number 3, Mission Impossible.
Great movies. Tom Cruise is a weirdo, but those are great movies.
I love all the Mission Impossible movies. They're super fun. Number 2 was Twister. We
talked about Twister with Dana Butler. Yes.
Yeah, it was so fun. He needs to come back on. We need to do another movie. I don't really like Twister, but it's another one that people super love and think are fun.
It's goofy.
Yeah. And then number 1 was Independence Day.
That movie, I remember, I don't know if you remember, I saw it that weekend it came out, and standing in line in the heat, in the New York heat with humidity, in the sun for hours to get tickets to go.
Yeah. And that is one of those movies that I saw. It played at my theater. I saw it like opening day. People were in it. They were like, people were there to have a good time. And so there was a lot of clapping and applauding. And by the way, The Rock had that too. Like, not the same kind of like
patriotic fervor.
Yeah, it didn't have that going for it, but there's definitely like, I remember when Sean Connery's character like comes back and like saves Nicolas Cage, like people breaking out into applause and stuff like that. It's
for doing the right thing.
Not just letting him die. Doing the right thing. Woohoo! Yay! So fun. So those are all the movies of 96.
Okay, so do you want to hear about the songs?
Yes, I do.
All right, let me bring it up here. These were just some of the top songs in 96. Tupac, Dr. Dre, California Love.
Song is
Always mention that.
So good. I still love that song. Love it.
Spice Girls, Say You'll Be There.
I really like the Spice Girls.
Fucking A, they were great. Tony Braxton, You're Making Me High.
I love that song.
Such a good song.
It's a really good song.
Smashing Pumpkins, 1979.
I love that album. The CD was everywhere. Every party I went to, you listen to Smashing Pumpkins.
Celine Dion, Because You Loved Me.
Oh, that's from Up Close and Personal.
Yes, it is.
I had to listen to that song 5 times a day.
And the number one song of 1996, Los Del Rio, Macarena.
That's unfortunate.
That was a trend that was super annoying in no time.
Yeah, songs that describe a dance move are an acquired taste. I'll just say that. And that one was not my jam, but they used to play it at weddings all the time because
it was an easy dance to do.
Absolutely. And there's some very popular footage on YouTube of them playing it at like Democratic National Convention or something, like fucking like Hillary Clinton dancing to it.
They did it like on all the football games, baseball games, like doing something stretch or something. Yeah, it was just, it's catchy. It's not horrifying, but it got old very quickly.
Yeah, it's like a Gangnam Style, Macarena, all that. Yeah, just dance. Yeah, it's not my thing. That's fine though. If it gets other people dancing and moving, it makes them happy. You do you, boo.
Yes.
What else are you dorking out about, Margo?
I got a few things, so buckle up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Joe versus Carol on Peacock, which is the Tiger King versus Carol Baskin.
Oh, tell me. So I never watched Tiger King because you gave me a really good trigger warning and I decided to skip it. But I am fascinated by the case.
You don't need to see it to see this.
Okay.
You know all the animals are okay, for one. Because there's Kate McKinnon plays Carol Baskin, and she's really good.
Ooh.
She's really good. Carol got kind of the asshole edit in the Netflix special, and I think she's a very complicated person.
Yeah.
I think, like a lot of people, she's a complicated person. But I think, and the guy from Hedwig, the Angry Inch, I'm trying to think of the actor.
Oh, John Cameron
Mitchell.
Yes.
He's John Cameron Mitchell, so he plays the Tiger King really well. He's a gay, mullet wearing, foul mouthed Southern guy that has like a zoo, and all these people working for him, and he's not a good person, but he's very charismatic, and it's an interesting story. The whole season's on Peacock, so if you have Peacock is free, so there's a few ads, but it's not. I watched that last night and I was totally into it. Speaking of creeps, we were talking before. Hulu has The Dropout.
Oh, I haven't started yet.
It's really interesting. I think they have Naveem from Lost. He plays Sonny Balwani.
I like him very much.
He's sexy as shit. Yeah,
Naveen Andrews, right?
Naveen Andrews, yes. And then the woman who's playing Elizabeth Holmes. She's Australian. She was in the Mamma Mia movies.
Oh no, it's Amanda Seyfried.
Amanda Seyfried, very good.
Okay.
And it's a very compassionate portrayal of her.
Interesting.
So, but she still deserves to be jailed, trust me.
Yeah.
On Disney Plus, I saw West Side Story.
Oh.
So there's a creep in the center.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm definitely going to watch it this week.
I've seen it 3 times in the last week. I put it on last night to sleep.
Oh my gosh, you love it that much, huh?
Love it.
Okay.
I love the original, and I think Spielberg makes beautiful movies. He really does. Apple TV has a program. I'm sure this was for African American History Month, but it's called Lincoln's Dilemma, and it's really interesting about the Civil War and the early parts of the Civil War, and then also what we later have is the Civil Rights Movement 100 years later. But what Lincoln went through, and it's really well done.
So it's a sitcom.
Oh yeah, it's a laugh a minute. I have these really good friends, and they're millennials. You met them at their wedding.
Yes.
Chicago wedding. So we talk about stuff that I was like. They always say to me, "Should I watch this? Should I watch that?" Like they always like looking for suggestions, and they sent me a text one day, and they said, "We're trying to get through PBS Civil War by Ken Burns," and they're like, "We're told this was popular. Was this popular?" I'm like, Oh my God.
Yeah, it was insanely popular.
It was insanely popular. Like, this is the most boring thing I've sat through in my life. I'm like, so if you think that's boring, try this
Okay.
because it's a little more exciting. HBO Max last week tonight, Oliver.
Oh, yes. John Oliver.
John Oliver. I was going to say Oliver Wendell Holmes. I'm like, no, that's not. They didn't bring up his corpse to make a show. Love him.
Yes.
He's fucking hilarious. And then I've talked about it before, but the podcast Dead Eyes.
Oh, yes.
With Connor Radcliffe. He's an actor who was cast in Band of Brothers in 2001 and then was supposedly fired by Tom Hanks because he had dead eyes.
So sad.
Which is so sad. And he's done 3 seasons of this podcast, and he interviews people in all aspects of show business and in his past gigs. And it's a lot about like what it is to like experience failure, what it's like to experience rejection. You can apply it to just anything in life. And he's having his season finale. It's dropping this week, and he finally interviews Tom Hanks.
What? Oh, shit.
So the second that drops, I'm getting dressed, jumping on my bike, and I'm going to have that on. Like that's how I'm going to, like 6 a.m. I don't give a shit. Like I'm going to listen to that right away because I've been listening all these years, and I'm like, I've got to know what Tom Hanks thinks of this. And those are that's what I'm dorking out about.
Those are all really good recs. I wrote a bunch of them down. We're also watching the Real Housewives Salt Lake City reunions and I think,
did you hear?
No, tell me.
The Jen Shaw, her trial was postponed to July.
What?
So they rushed this season because she supposedly was going to start going to trial in March. Everybody else is settled.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like, not her. And she's going to go down fighting. And so I don't know what they were thinking.
What have the other people settled for? Like they've pled guilty and taken.
They pled guilty and they're like, she's the one that was in charge. And they've taken like
Damn!
5 years, 10 years.
Ooh!
Yeah. So
anyway. Is good to know. We should, when the reunion episodes are done, we could talk about it under what else we're dorking out about. We'll do a big wrap up because I know we're going to have thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
For sure. Speaking of reunions, so I've been watching Love is Blind season 2 because my friend Kate told me it was a thing I should watch. And I was like, damn you, Kate. So my sister and I plowed through that together and I watched the reunion and it's fucking good. Everyone, I'm like, if you watch Love is Blind and you're like, meh, should I watch the reunion? Watch the reunion. You won't be sorry. And I was telling Margo off mic, I didn't understand why Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey were hosting. They are barely in it. They're barely in it when they're hosting, but maybe they're producers. I don't know. But at the reunion, they fucking bring it. And I was really impressed with they hold people accountable and call them out on their bullshit. And sometimes they're not polite about it, which I think is kind of rad.
Yeah, totally.
So Margo hasn't watched the reunion yet, so I don't want to
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Yeah, but I will tell you that Shake does not come across very well in this reunion.
He doesn't come across well in the show either. He was the one that would ask women, so do you like working out? Because he can't see them.
Yes.
They don't know what the women look like. So he's just like, do you like exercise?
Yeah, he's such an asshole.
Such an asshole.
And ultimately he proposes to this woman, Deepti. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And clearly like beautiful on the outside and beautiful on the inside. She seems like a really good person.
Yes.
And he shits like all over her, treats her quite poorly, and he does not come across well. And she shows up to the reunion. She just looks like a queen, like just beautiful, like sparkly blue dress. Like, oh my God, he's so stupid. He's so stupid, but good for her. She
ditches him at the altar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on the producers for like letting her answer first, like letting her dump him. I was like, I'm here for it. I feel like they were on her side.
Yeah, you get the feeling.
Yeah, and she just handles everything so well, and he handles everything so poorly. It's just like she dodged a bullet, really. Like she dodged a bullet. Like what a dick. But the other thing I've been watching is I've been in the mood for, like, I just wanted a short little comedy. So I've been watching Abbott Elementary. on
Oh,
Hulu.
is that good?
And it's so good. It's very much like those. So it's like another mockumentary sitcom, kind of like The Office or Parks and Rec. It reminds me very much of Parks and Rec. It's the characters are funny. It's about this school. I'm going to look it up because they're in Philadelphia, and it's like a little elementary school in Philadelphia. And, these teachers are like doing a lot with very little. They clearly love teaching, but it's also about like their interactions with each other. And then they do the whole thing where they talk to the camera, right? They're because it's a documentary crew that's filming in this school. It's very funny. It's also very sweet. It's about teachers that really care about their jobs. And I don't know, our teachers here in this country, y'all, they don't make any money. They buy their own supplies, like all these things. And I like that there's this nice sitcom that's showing them, portraying teachers as someone who's really trying. They want the best for these kids, but also like their interactions with each other are really fun. It's really good. And it's an easy watch. It's like 25 minutes per episode. I think it's technically on ABC, but I'm watching it on Hulu. I don't watch network sitcoms very often.
No, I think the Super Bowl was the last time I watched the network, any of the networks for an extended period of time. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of commercials.
Yeah, like I'm also like I watched the new Law and Order. And
yeah.
And I'm like, that's like one of the first network things I'd watched in a while. So, but Abbott Elementary, it's really sweet. I really like it. I had thoughts about the Law and Order reboot. So they get Jeffrey Donovan from like Burn Notice or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they pair him up with Anthony Anderson. And are they going to try to, is he like a Trumper or something? Like there's this whole thing about, he's just very antagonistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I understand what they're trying to do and maybe I'll like it a little bit more. But that part was like rubbing me the wrong way.
But that's the great thing about the show is like it's just part that, and then in the rest of it's the trial, and so that it changes gears. And I love Linus Roach.
Hugh Dancy.
Hugh Dancy. Sorry, I do love Linus Roach. Sorry, he was in season 20.
Yes,
this is 21, and it's Hugh Dancy who was in Manhunter.
Hannibal. Yeah.
Hannibal. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
No. But
It's middle of the afternoon. I'm fading. I'm like, actually, my cat just curled up under my arm and is purring, and I can't focus. No, Hugh, I've seen on Broadway. I've seen him a few times. He's a very talented actor, and I like him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, the first episode, I wasn't that into the case.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the second one yet.
I haven't either. But I will because I like Law and Order. I think maybe we even talked about this last week. I find the original Law and Order very comforting. Something not the cases, not that people commit crimes. I don't find that comforting, but like
but it's the whole thing. It's like the people walk in, there's a couple walking in, they tell bad jokes, and then they come across a body.
Yes.
And then they bring in our detectives who tell bad jokes.
Yes.
And then they have the theme. And then they have the theme. Da, da, da,
yes.
Da, da,
yes. It's I
come into it. I'm like, okay.
It's the format of the show that I find very comforting, and I know what beats to expect, and it's a very like easy whodunit that isn't like particularly challenging, but just challenging enough to distract me. I really like Law and Order. I know people love SVU, and I watch that sometimes too, but the original Law and Order is really my jam.
Yeah, same here.
So I'm watching that too. And I think that's everything on my list. This was fun. Where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick for Twitter and Instagram, and my site is brooklynfitchick.com.
And if you like the sound of our voices, and I assume you do because you've made it this far, we also co-host a podcast called What a Creep. It's where we talk about creeps of the past and the present, and then we end every episode with someone who's not a creep, so you don't think the world's a whole dumpster fire. And right now our episode out is about Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
Creep.
Holy crap, he was a creep.
Such a creep. And if you like this show and would like some stickers, you could email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com and we'd be happy to send you some. If you have requests, we love requests. You can email us requests. You could tweet us requests. Please do. You can find Dorking Out Show wherever you get your podcasts, and you could maybe leave us a nice review. That would be awesome. We'll be your best friend. We'd do it for you if you had a podcast.
Yeah.
And you could find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok. This was really fun. I am so glad that we decided at the last minute to do The Rock instead. We still will do Beverly Hills Cop, by the way. It's just we had to do The Rock. We had to.
It just took me by surprise. That's the whole thing. I was having so much fun with it. So when you brought that up, I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So we're both winners. So why don't we go home and fuck the prom queen?